Yeah, so let's move on. Talking about Baker Mayfield's last chance. Is this Todd Bowles' last chance? I know I don't know if this is a major talk of, because I'm not a ton in Buccaneers Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't really know a ton if this is actually a topic of discussion, but I know that Todd Bowles, the 2 seasons that he's become a head coach, one of them he missed the playoffs. And yeah, he's 0-1.
Last year was his first year with the Bucs
Yeah.
as a head coach.
And then okay, so my bad. So 1 season and he's
Yeah.
0-1. Do you think this is kind of do you think they give him more time? Or because again, you could argue that if they do bad enough this year, they could start off with a whole new regime. They could
Yeah.
bring in somebody like Lincoln Riley, and they could bring in somebody like not Caleb Williams, but like even Michael Penix, whatever, the guy from Washington.
Yeah, yeah.
And they could get in new quarterback, new coach, start over again. You could argue that Todd Bowles, since he does have a defensive background, isn't the greatest at developing quarterbacks. So maybe if you were to start over again with a new quarterback, he wouldn't be the one to start over with. So is this year his last chance to kind of not get fired? How far would he have to go to keep his job?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky situation, really,
Yeah.
because last year was definitely a disappointment. He comes in as the head coach, but I think what people don't realize is he wasn't named head coach until much later on in the offseason. It happened during the NFL owners meetings, which take place, once the season's done, like after coaching hirings are done. That's when Bruce Arians stepped down in order to allow Todd Bowles to become the head coach. He obviously was the coach for the Jets years ago, so this is his second head coaching stint. So he didn't necessarily get to bring in some of his own personal coaches, like whether he wanted a different offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach or whatever, because all those coaches already had jobs. So with that said, you still had Tom Brady. You still had a team that was ready to win now. And yes, they did make the playoffs. They won the division, but they won it at 8-9. Like they won it with a losing record. Now,
and very controversially as well.
Yeah,
like there were some games.
The Bucs ownership in the past has shown that they'll give a coach a little bit of time. They'll give every coach at least 2 seasons, but they will pull the plug pretty quick. Now, I think you have to look at it with a different lens of Tom Brady's not there anymore. So you're bringing in a new quarterback and a new offense. So there is going to be sometimes with growing pains. So put it this way, and everyone thought the Bucs were going to tank, but I was like, well, if they were going to tank, why did they re-sign Levante David? Why did they re-sign Jamel Dean?
They didn't try to get any type of quarterback in the draft.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't.
Hooker was there.
Exactly.
So,
who was there?
Yeah, Hooker, Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, and exactly. They didn't go after a quarterback. So why? Like they're not trying to tank just yet because they brought back all of these players.
Yeah.
So I think what it really comes down to, and also if you're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator, what do you do next season if you fire the coach? Like you're going to restart an entirely new offense once again with all the guys you have here. So you're going to ask the whole team to learn a new offense for the 3rd straight season after last year already knowing the offense and this year and the next season. So I think what it comes down to is how does the team look in November and December? Because if they struggle out the gate, they may end up with an 8-9 record, 9-8, whatever it is. But if you start out, 2-6, whatever, but then you win your last 7 or 8 games down the stretch, you're trending in the right direction and you may have something here. Now, if they just completely fall off the rails and go, 3-14, then I think Todd Bowles is out of a job. But you can't look at everything exactly the same. You can't look at last year's Bucs with Tom Brady and this year's Bucs with Baker Mayfield and say it's the exact same thing. You got the exact same results. Like if they go 8-9 this year with Baker Mayfield, I would kind of say that is a success that you can build on for next season. So is he on the hot seat? I think it's simmering a little bit for sure, but November and December will give us a much more accurate response and answer to it.
Well, and like you said, how long will you keep the veterans kind of entertained? Because it's still quite a few veterans on that team. And to me, if they go after new coach, new quarterback, you're basically cutting a lot of different players, which is not ideal at all. But the thing is like, what do you really, really want to do that? So yeah, like you said, it would have to be a complete collapse because
Yeah.
otherwise, I mean, no, I guess a few veterans, but no, this team has been around for a while and no team is going to want to play with a rookie quarterback. It's just like with the 49ers and Trey Lance, when he came in, it
Yeah.
was a bad time. We had a bunch of veterans. And so we still have a bunch of veterans. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and contracts obviously come into play, like
Yeah,
they
because is there any like expiring big name contracts
so
on your guys' teams?
they're trying to re-sign or do a contract extension with Mike Evans. And Mike's like the most team-friendly guy of all
Mhm.
time. He's great in the community. He's gigantic with his charity and everything like that. So they're trying to sign him to an extension, which I'm sure it'll happen before the start of the regular season. Chris Godwin, they just signed last
Mhm.
offseason. Their cornerbacks, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. Dean got paid this offseason. Carlton got paid last offseason. So you still have those guys on the books for a fair amount of time. And then you have Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs, who are coming off their rookie contracts. So the Bucs are going to want to lock them up and sign them to long-term contracts because Tristan Wirfs
Mhm.
is arguably the best offensive tackle in the league. So you still have a lot of these pieces that you're going to have anyway, and you can't get rid of everybody. So you might as well go for it while you still have these players in their prime.
I still, it's a mystery to me why we passed up on Tristan Wirfs, the 49ers,
He
and
was the
got
fourth
Javon.
offensive tackle taken in that draft. That's what's
Yeah.
most shocking more than anything else. And the Bucs traded up one spot with the 49ers to
And
make
we
sure they
went
got
and we,
Tristan
yep,
Wirfs.
and we
You guys got
went.
Javon Kinlaw, right?
Yeah, that was the worst pick ever. We could have picked CD Lamb, which later
Yeah.
in that draft we picked Brandon Ayuk, who
Right.
is good. And I don't think CD Lamb would be best utilized in this offense. I'm like, okay, whatever with him. But I mean, yeah, Wirfs would have been so much nicer. You put him on the right side, Trent Williams
Trent
on the left
Williams,
side.
yeah.
Although
That's nasty.
you guys just gave him a contract. I don't think we would have been able to repay him. So, I mean, we
Oh,
have,
Wirfs?
yeah.
Yeah, well, they're looking. They did some like void years with him,
Okay.
but they got it. He's going to get his money next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. This has been we're out of topics. This has been almost an hour long. So thanks for giving us your time. This was a lot of fun kind of